Hey everybody, this is Stephen Butler. I'm here at 3 Alarm Comics. I'm here to do a little bit of comic art demonstrations here. So without further ado, let's get started. So looking at this, this is a Spider-Man piece that I did a little while back. This was done on Free Comic Book Day right here at 3 Alarm Comics. You can see there's two signatures here. The first one, of course, is mine, but this other one that's below it is the guy. He's the guy that inked this. That's an old inking buddy of mine from from a long time. Not going to betray our age or anything, but we've known each other for, man, close to 30 years, I think. But this is Thomas Floramonte, who provided the inks for it. And what I'm doing right now is I'm about to color this thing. I'm going to lay some color down on it, and so kind of show you guys my process of how I do these pieces. Now, actually, this isn't a commission piece. This is just something that we did for fun. So it will be available once I'm done with it. If anybody is interested in getting it, all you have to do is message me on my Facebook page, Stephen Butler Studios, and I'll be happy to talk with you about it. All right. First of all, I'm going to start off with these colors here that they're basically just watercolors, and I've had this watercolor set for over 10 years now, about close to 15 years. Actually, I got it. Actually, Thomas is the guy that bought it for me whenever I started doing caricatures at Disney World. He was the guy who I was staying with at the time, and he took me to his favorite art supply store and picked it out for me, because that's what they used for caricatures. And I've got the very color that I need was stuck on the bottom of the other piece. So here we go. And basically, this is just cake watercolor, and I just activate it with just a little bit of water, and then I start applying it. And I usually go with whatever the biggest. I usually use the color that covers the biggest area, if that makes sense, on the piece. That's what I usually start with. And then I go from the biggest to the least as far as the coverage is concerned. And I have another brush, and I totally forgot to get it this time. So it's a brush that has a barrel that's full of water, but it's probably in my. Oh, Lily, you're going to get it. It's probably my daughter Lily is with me here. She's filming, and she is in the background. There you go, and she's going to be looking for it for me. Baby, it's probably in the or you getting me yours. Yeah. It's probably in this thing right here, if you want to get it from there. And I used it last time when I painted the whatever it was I was painting in here last time. Oh, the shadow. That's right, the shadow piece.
You don't. I think I have it though.
Do I not have it in there?
Yep.
But anyway, I'm just basically laying down the biggest color, which is red, mostly on Spider-Man. He has a lot of blue in there as well, but red is the predominant color. And some people might ask, do you think about color when you do these commissions? It's like, yeah, yes, and no. I always ask the person that's getting the commission if they want it in color or if they want it in black and white. And if they do want it in color, it's good to know that ahead of time, because I can channel, is that the word I'm looking for? I can coordinate how I'm laying the picture out to go with color better than there's just certain things that you can do in black and white that look better in black and white than they do in color. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's how I think. In other words, if I was doing a black and white thing, I'd use a lot more black you know, on the a lot more shadow type stuff to compensate for the lack of color. That can like create a texture type thing. But if I know that it's going to be in color, then I don't have to. Thank you. Then I don't have to do that. I can use the actual color itself, pretty much like I'm doing here. Say if I was doing this in black and white, and instead of this background being all these webs and stuff, I probably would have colored that all in black, and then would have went back in with say a like a whiteout pen like this, and then drawn the webs in after the fact. But since I knew this was going to be a color piece, I'm going to do it in a little different way. So, and I don't know how other guys work. I know a lot of other guys work strictly with markers, like Copic markers and Prismacolors and things like that. And I do use some of those, but I don't. It's not exclusive. I like working wet with wet medium because, well, just to tell you the truth, it's quicker to work with a wet medium for me. And I like to usually this is how I do these things at a convention, and I usually have to go through at least 5 or 6 of these in a day. So I have to come up with ways of getting the work done in a in a speedy way. So but yeah, whenever I do use markers and stuff, it's usually done for accents or to provide shading, maybe, or even to provide a texture that goes on top of these. Like say this red that I'm putting down. I'll probably come back with maybe like a brown marker or something, and just put it in there where just use it solely where you would see like shadows, probably like on the bottom of his boots and other shadowed areas in his costume. But that's pretty much it for the red. And this stuff dries really quickly too. It's not dried right now, but I can go on into doing another color at the moment, and I think that it'll be fine. It'll be dry by the time I get back. All right. I'm going to use this blue here, which is kind of like a brilliant blue to kind of like a medium blue to color the blue part of his costume. Even though I've seen Spider-Man has so many different costumes now, it seems like every time a new movie comes out or a new game comes out, they put some kind of new spin on the costume. I know that there was the one game, what is it? This is the PlayStation game, the new one where he's got the big white spider on his chest, and that seems to be real popular. And then you've got Peter Parker is not the only Spider-Man now. You got the Miles Morales guy, you got the Scarlet Spider, you've got Spider-Man Noir, you've got all these different Spider guys that are running around. Everybody's got a different costume, but it's all based on pretty much the same.
Thank you, Spider-Verse.
Yeah, there you go. And that I think that movie really did a lot to open up possibilities for new movies. I hope it does, and I'm thinking that it probably will, because the movie did so well at the box office. And you see, I'm not coloring every piece in there. I'm leaving this kind of like this rim lighting there, and I'm going to probably color those in maybe like a yellow or an orange or something to show like maybe, I don't know, street light, give the impression of street light shining up on him or something. Basically what I'm doing is I'm just giving a contrast of a cool color like this blue against a hot color like the yellows or the oranges. So, but yep, this piece was done right here at 3 Alarm Comics on Free Comic Book Day. in the in the all too infrequent breaks that we had. Actually, I didn't have a break. I just took the time and penciled it in as fast as I could, and Thomas went ahead and worked his magic on it, and so I've had it all this time, but I didn't want to show it because I didn't want to show it on Facebook or anything yet because I wanted to actually work on it, and I figured that this would be the best time to do something like that. So, but that probably one of the biggest things I get asked about is coloring, and so I'm trying to think of, while I'm coloring this, and answer the questions that I know that people have asked. A lot of people say, "What do you color with?" And well, I've kind of already told you that, and you can watch and see as I go on, because I never color these things the same way. Each piece has a different. I just use basically whatever I have at the time, whatever comes to whatever's handy. So right now, I'm going to let's see. Yeah, I'm not going to touch the yellow yet because that's not dry yet. So I'm going to go with a little gray here, and I'm just going to dip into my black. I'm going to use a lot of ink for this. Let me get this out of the way so I can work with my gray, because I don't want to make it too dark, but I don't want to make it too light either. I want a good medium consistency here. Alright, let's see what I got to work with now. To start with, I want to make his web that he's swinging on this kind of a medium gray color. And it always whenever you're first putting this down, you say, "Oh, it's too dark." Well, it always dries lighter. So don't worry too much if you lay this stuff down and it's darker than what you think you want, because whenever it dries, it's going to be a lighter tone, than a lighter color than what it is that you're laying down. So Lil, whenever you lay stuff down, do you strictly work with your markers, or do you ever work with these watercolors or wet? Or do you just do that for whenever you have to, for like school and stuff?
I do mixed media as well.
Which do you prefer?
I usually prefer markers, but sometimes you don't have the right marker color you need.
Aha.
So watercolor usually works with that in that way. But sometimes the paper that you're using does not take watercolor, so you have to plan for that.
Okay. So what's the best kind of paper to? Like, I know this stuff, but I want you to tell me.
There's the best kind of paper for watercolor is watercolor paper, because it's thicker and it takes it better.
Hello.
Did you draw it on that, or is that just cardstock?
No, this is what this is right here is just cardstock that you can get at any Walmart or any place, or like an office supply store, or at an arts supply store. But
Yeah.
it's probably the least expensive, like say from Walmart, and you can get it in a ream of, I don't know, 500 pages for like $5.
Probably more than that now.
I don't know.
But
It's really not that.
If I wanted to color the entire page of a cardstock with watercolor, it would warp.
Yeah.
So that's when you would want to use mixed media and maybe pull in some markers or color pencils or whatever you prefer to use, whatever look you want to go for.
Okay.
So you just need to be conscious of what mediums you're using and what paper that you're using.
Right. Good. Yeah, because and this happens a lot. Say for instance, I'm working on a sketch cover. Oh boy. Sketch covers are awesome, but they can also be the bane of your existence whenever you go to color them, because of what she just said, because of the quality of the not so much the quality, but the kind of paper that the cover is made out of. I've worked on some of them that was just like painting on watercolor paper, and it worked awesome. But I've also worked on some that were like yeah, or like a playing card. It was real slick, and it was like a fight just to get the paint down. It streaked and did all kind of stuff. So if you ever had a problem with that, any of you other guys out there that are watching this that are artists yourself and have had a problem with it, don't feel like the Lone Ranger, because you do what you have to make it through those types of things. You know, I
Well,
kind of like that
only
blue.
the early ones had that waxy cover on them.
You think
And
that
then,
now they've
yeah,
kind of,
they've changed them up so much. And
yeah,
every once in a while, you'll get one from like the UK. Almost every one of those has
Right.
the waxy cover.
Right.
Because I guess whoever prints the stuff over there.
yeah. It's like they hadn't got the memo yet.
They need to.
Yeah, really.
But when that happens, you just need to improvise, work on your feet, and see what works. And a lot of that comes with trial and error.
A lot we found too is if you just take an eraser and erase over,
Yeah.
it'll pull up a lot of that waxy
Oh,
stuff.
okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And yep, I've done that before.
We'll have to try that next time.
Yeah, I don't think there's any lately that have come out that are like that.
That's good.
Yeah, but I will always undoubtedly get somebody that's got some old, you know, cover that they've kept for a long time, just so that I could draw a sketch on it or whatever,
Most of them.
and I wrestle with it. Yeah, that's got a good texture. Yeah. What's with the like the onion sleeve? Is that just like a protectant?
On there to, I guess it's a white cover so it doesn't get dirty.
Right. I've noticed that on several of them.
But I was kind of curious myself because just as a test run, I had Mitch do one and I ripped the cover off and just used tweezers to pick the paper out with
Right.
the staples.
Right.
And it still came back to the 9.8. They don't consider that part of it. So once you get done, you can take it off.
Aha. Awesome.
For anybody that wants to get it graded anyway.
Gotcha.
Right. All right, I'm about to switch over from the paint medium to a marker medium, and I'm looking for a gray because all of these little places inside here, and this is what's going to take a long time. If I would have just put that in first in a color or like black or something, then it would have went a lot quicker, but I wasn't exactly thinking. So I'm
You were just drawing.
yeah, I was just drawing. So basically what I'm doing now is, and these are let's see, this is the Hobby Lobby brand, I think, of
Alcohol markers.
yeah, alcohol-based markers, and so then they were pretty good. It's just I've noticed that not every time the color that comes out of these markers matches the color that's on the marker itself. So test these markers before you put them down on anything that's going to be like a permanent type thing. Right, have like a little swatch pad of paper to test them out
So you
on.
can remember what your marker looks like when it's dry.
Right. So, but yeah, these types of things. Say if I was doing this at a convention where I'm doing where I'm got a lot of these that I've got to get done, I'll think of whatever way that I can to cut, not to cut corners. That makes it sound like I'm hacking it out, but to increase my speed. Yeah, thank you. That word, expedite. To expedite the work that I'm doing. Now, even here, I'm going to be going back over these with some like little lines just to kind of make it look more spider webbery, if that makes any sense. But yeah, it's just going to take the longest period of time. This is kind of like, just painting a picket fence or something, just filling in all the.
Is that a Wilson picket fence?
Yeah. Filling in all the little spots. Something that you could do digitally really easily by doing the fill tool or whatever. And if you were doing this digitally, you wouldn't even have to do that. You could draw in.
You could just fill it in.
Yeah, fill it in and then draw in the other part with the white.
Yes, sir.
My daughter is a big advocate of the digital over the traditional.
I like both.
But
digital's very helpful, and sometimes you can go quicker with it.
Some guys do digital stuff at shows.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how they do that, I don't know if they have a printer that they print out, or if they just email the guys like a file. It's what now?
The latter. They usually would send out the client an email
With the file on it, and then
Yes.
they can go and
Have it
because you
printed out.
don't really have an original, and that's the
Mhm.
thing I think that with a lot of, I've noticed over my years of doing this stuff is that a lot of the people out there that collect this type of stuff, they want that original art, but that's a different. See, my main clientele are, I guess, older guys in their I'd say anywhere between 30 and my 50s, 60s, maybe even, and so therefore they're the ones that grew up on paper, and plus they like to have something that they can hang up in their house and say this is an original piece that a physical hand worked on. But I mean, the same thing can be applied to digital. It's just having that original. I don't know. It's a mental thing, I think.
I think so, and I think it does have to do with the age thing. Like a lot of people that I know actually prefer digital over the traditional.
And
don't
why
really care.
why do you think that is? Just because you guys?
It's more accessible, and a lot of people my age don't really have anywhere to hang it up.
Ah,
So you just
okay.
you can have more.
So you can
art
pull it up on your
without
phone?
having wall space. Yes.
Right. Okay.
I mean, or you could print them out. But
Right.
you always have that.
And so you're not finding that the desire to have an original piece hanging is as important of a thing.
Yeah, it's not important to everybody.
Okay.
I think it just depends on the person.
Yeah. I think it's a demographic thing. I think it's
so, too.
it might have something to do with the age and just you guys just didn't I guess grow up. You guys grew up in the digital age, and so it's
Yeah.
a little bit different with us older folks. So, do you think that one day the doing it by hand will fade out completely to digital? Boy, this is where the comments are going to start. This is going to start the flame. What do they call it? The flame war. No, it'll never happen. And
I don't think so. I think people, because it's so easy to pick up a pencil and draw on paper, but it's more accessible
Yeah.
than buying a digital program or like an iPad or a tablet to draw a computer.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have money behind that, and it's so much easier and more accessible to pick up a pencil and draw on a piece of paper. So no, I don't ever think it'll die out. I think digital is just becoming more popular, which is cool.
I think that's one of the lures of doing art to start with, because it is something that anybody could do.
Yep.
Now you could go into that. Oh well, you've got a gift, and I can see
also have to work on
see
it,
that.
though, just like you have
But
to work on
a
everything
gift
else.
that's not cultivated, that's not practiced on, is going to die on the vine.
Exactly.
So you can have a gift and you can be talented, but if you don't do anything with it, then you're not. You can't expect to be successful with it, and that's with anything, but especially art. If you want to get better, you got to work at it every day. That was for free. Just saying. Lesson number 1.
So I can take my horrible stick figure drawings and make them better?
Yeah.
Sure. I knew a guy one time. I did a convention with him in, I think it was Charlotte. Matt Fizel was his name. And I guess he's still around doing stuff, but he made a living doing stick figure comic books and little mini comics. He was like one of the first guys that did those types of things.
Oh,
Just
yeah, Carl Wallace, who was the creator of Spooderman.
Spooderman. Is that where that comes from?
Yes.
Okay. I've heard that, but I did not know that that our Carl was the originator of that term.
Oh yeah.
That's fun.
I forget how it came about, but yeah, he drew up his interpretation of Spider-Man, and he draws a lot like me.
Right.
And instead of Spider-Man, it's Spooderman with 3 O's.
Spooderman.
That's good.
I think he even has his own Facebook page.
Really?
I believe so.
Not Carl, but Spooderman.
Spooderman, yes, yeah.
Oh my god.
So, this is where it just gets, you're just filling you're filling in the literally filling in the blanks.
This is where you're regretting drawing so many webbings in the back.
This is where I'm having to rethink my working in black and white as opposed to working in color, and thinking, because I guess we were just drawing something, I just said, hey Tommy, you want to ink something? And sir, and so I just drew it up, not thinking that I was going to be coloring it later on. But here we are. So
Joke's on you.
live and learn. Live and learn. But yeah, I'm probably going to go back with some whiteout, with a whiteout pen. In fact, I think I'm going to do a little bit of that right
You
now.
have one?
No, I got it. Here, I can find it. I bet you anything that
I have a small one. If you need it.
bet you anything that watercolor brush is in one of these things.
Probably.
But I don't need it anymore.
That's what happens. You
So it
find
don't-
something you don't need after you need it.
Yep,
When
you
don't
find
need
it when you're looking for something else, and when you don't need it anymore. You can't find the thing you're looking for.
Yep. That's how it happens.
All right, so see, I'm gonna just kind of cut in with these. This is a now people say, what is that? This is a Uniball Signo whiteout pen, and I cannot read the rest. Mitsubishi Pencil Company Limited, made in Japan, of course. And I got it from jetpens.com. They do not pay me. I just like to use their products because they work really well.
Yep.
And they get the job done for me. And I use them for inking, coloring, a little bit of everything. So the trick is not to do a whole lot of this, because I've already got all the bigger pieces in here. I just want to give it just enough to indicate that it's like an organic thing, maybe a web that he spun. Spun? Right, okay. Alright. So like I said, I'm not going to do it in every piece, but I could also go in and accent some spots in here where the light is catching this web. And they're like, why do you pay attention to detail like that? It's like, well, that's makes the difference between me and everybody else, I guess, that does this type of thing. It's just the way my brain works. I really can't explain it, but most people tend. I haven't really gotten anybody that's complained about it. You put too much detail in your stuff. The only person that complains about that is my wife, because she said, and she doesn't call it detail. She calls it noodling. She said, "Stop your noodling. You've went over your page rate 30 minutes ago." So she will take the pen out of my hand.
She's
or
starting to
whatever.
say that to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because she is very mindful of what we get paid for, and what we put into it. But always, you get, sometimes you just get lost in the work, and you're saying, "Oh, it needs just a little bit more," and then 3 hours later you're still noodling. So she knows that, and so she's our voice of reason.
Is that what it is?
I guess that's what she would say it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, something like that is kind of what I see. Now back to the grind.
Slog.
You know what? I wonder if I don't know how this. Nah, never mind. It's too small. The spaces that I'm having to color are too small for that big brush. Are you able to get all of this in the frame?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's cool. I do not know how to talk on these things, so I'm just like being myself and stuff.
It's fine.
So,
It'll come with time.
and we're not doing this live. We're just doing a recording thing. So all of the questions, if anybody has any, will come later after we post it.
Yes.
So we can post this to Facebook and YouTube, or pretty much any
post it
kind of.
wherever you want to.
All right. Well, again, this is once I'm done with this, as it's taken for seems like it's taken this for taken forever to do this, but once I'm done with it, I will pretty much be done. Except I'm going to go back in with some markers, like I'm going to go back in with some yellows, maybe some oranges, and really make this thing pop. At least that's the plan, anyway. And I might do something with Spider-Man with the whiteout pen to pop him from the background. We'll see. I'll know better whenever I lay those markers down. Sometimes this stuff is you got a general idea of what it's going to look like, but sometimes things happen.
Sometimes you have a captain idea.
Yeah, that's right. A general idea. I have a sergeant idea. I have a lieutenant idea. I have a buck private idea. And so you just basically go with the flow, how it feels while you're doing it. Sometimes the best decisions are made on the fly, pretty much. So, what does Bob Ross say? Happy little accidents. Bob Ross never painted a whole lot of figures, did he? Did he ever
It's
paint
mostly
figures?
landscape. I think he did.
Yeah, he would put like a shack in the woods or a house or
A
something.
barn.
Yeah, I never did. He
Bridge.
never really even went into the. What's that other dude that painted all the lights and stuff? All the women who love him. Kincaid, all that Thomas Kincaid stuff that has all the beautiful lights in the windows and the soft and the yellows and the stuff. He didn't really even do any of that stuff. He was mostly
He did do some figures.
nature.
Bob Ross did.
He did.
He did. He did
On
a
his
portrait.
show.
Yes.
Okay, if he did, I haven't
Season
seen him.
7, episode 5 is called Portrait of Sally. It's a portrait of a woman.
Portrait of Sally.
Yeah, I guess it was
Okay.
someone he knew.
All right.
But he did mostly do landscapes on his show, or at least the ones I've seen.
Right. So, I'm just continuing to lay these down, I'm going as fast as I can, but I don't want to go over the lines or whatever. At least not too much. Again, if I would have had sense, I would have done this beforehand and not even put anything in the background, and that way I could have drawn all of these white lines with the whiteout pen. But I didn't do that.
But alas, he did not.
But we're coming to the end here, so we should be all right. Spider-Man continues to be one of my most requested characters to draw, even though in the grand scheme of things I probably drew him less than any of the other characters that I worked on. I think I was on the Spider-Man book or the Web of Spider-Man book for 2 years, and even then, whenever I was drawing the Spider-Man book, I didn't draw Peter Parker very much at all. He was almost like a guest star in his own book. It was more the Ben Reilly show, the clone, the Scarlet Spider, at least during my run of the book. Now, not that I minded. I really enjoyed drawing Scarlet Spider, and he is my number one requested character to draw still to this day. At least among the superhero crowd of folks. But I've worked on so many different. I've had so many different runs on different things that I've got the Silver Sable crowd. I've got the Sonic the Hedgehog crowd. I've got the Spider-Man crowd. So, and then there's some guys that just come up with something way out of the blue, and I'm like, where in the world did you get that idea from? But most of the time they're fun. They're fun to do, and they challenge me to stretch and try new things.
You're always doing something different.
Yeah, which I enjoy. I enjoy the different types of projects to do. I can already see I'm going to have to do something with this foot here because this gray is so dark, it's almost black, that foot right there kind of disappears into the gray. So making a mental note whenever I come back to it that I need to do something for that to make that foot pop out. I don't know what yet, but I'll think of something whenever I get there. I think when I asked Thomas to do this, he was excited to do it, but the last thing that we had worked on was on your iPad, Lily.
Yeah,
And I think we
was
made
Spider-Man, wasn't it?
yeah, I think it was, and we made it's the one where I drew it on the iPad, and then Tommy inked it, and you colored it,
Yeah.
and then we made like a time lapse type
It's on
video
YouTube.
thing for it. Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. Because everybody says, "Oh man, dude, you ought to get a YouTube channel." I got one. I've only got just a few.
That's what this is going to be uploaded to.
That's right. This will be on YouTube, so you can check it out. I don't even know the name of it. Is it Stephen Butler Studios?
Yes, sir.
I think so. So you can go there and check it out. That video is on there that we were just talking about, plus a few more. And this one, this is our attempt at being semi-regular with video uploads.
We're trying.
Yeah, it's all a learning process for me. So the thing about it is drawing this stuff. Usually whenever you're drawing, you're in complete well, not me, I'm not in silence. I usually am listening to music, or I'm listening to something on YouTube, or Pandora or something, podcasts, and so I've always I'm not one of those guys. Some artists say, "Oh, I've got to have complete silence whenever I'm working." I am not one of those kind of guys. All right, whew. My hand is numb. Anyway, that's all of the background stuff done. So now I'm going to go back in with this whiteout pen, and I'm just going to here and there put little strands in. Okay, this is what I'm going to do here. Go around this foot like this. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and put the outline around the whole figure, because I think that will make
Pops it out from the dark
Yeah,
background.
I think so.
It's a good separation.
And it doesn't see this background's not really meant to be a true quote unquote background. It's just meant to be a more like a symbolic thing. So it doesn't matter if he has a white halo type thing around his whole body. It's basically just a graphic thing to pop him out from the background, separate him from it. Since I'm doing it on him, I might as well do it on this web too, since the web is the thing that's projecting forward out of the frame, actually. So I want to treat it, whatever I do to him, I'm going to have to do the web the same way, because it's kind of part of him in this picture. Are you picking up something from that one?
I was just moving it over.
Okay.
Hope you get your face on.
Tell me if I need to move.
You're good.
Okay. You put a lot of these white outlines around your figures too, don't you? Whenever you
I do.
You do these.
Got it from you.
You got it from me. What, you watch me do it once? Because I don't do it all the time.
You've done it enough.
You've done it enough, or I've done it enough.
Yeah.
Lily just finished. She just got her associate's degree from the college that she's going to, and she just the day after she finished her last class, she got a call from it's a local guy who asked her if she was be available to do some digital coloring work, not for comics, but for a series of children's books that now tell me if didn't he say that it was for like a dental group, a dental company or something?
Associated with it. I'm not
Okay.
sure how much affiliated. And it's cool how it played out, because ever since I was younger, I've wanted to work in children's books.
Right.
And I really like how it was really cool how it played out. It's pretty awesome.
And so she is going to be diving into this freelance life.